World Cup Tour in its 43rd season. This is the first of two competitions to be held this month in Koenigssee, Germany. Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome back to our ongoing coverage of this year's World Cup Tour. We're getting set for men's singles competition. Hey, even if you're not too hip on the Celsius scale, that's pretty easy to figure out. 0 means 32 degrees Fahrenheit, with the ice at 30 degrees Fahrenheit here on the oldest artificially refrigerated track in the world. This course was built in 1969 and really has undergone very few changes since. You've got the S-curves there, you've got the Kreisel, one of 5, or 6 rather, in the world. And right now we're going to take a closer look at this course from top to bottom. It's the only combo track in the world where the lugers begin at a higher spot than the bobsleds. Very soon after passing the lower start area begins the S combination. S1, 2, 3, and then the exit of S4. This is one of the tough spots on the track. Then what looks like a long straightaway actually has a few little bends, in fact a curve called Bendaway, or the Jena curve. Then the 360-degree Kreisel, a true 360 degrees here, a full carousel, and it dives down into a lower labyrinth that is among the most dangerous spots in all of the world. Victoria Demchenko had a bad crash here last season. A young Russian man had a bad crash during Nations Cup yesterday and is still in the hospital. We'll update that story a little later on. Suffice it to say he's going to be okay, though. Okay, we get ready for our 32 sled field, and we welcome the North Americans back to the program for the first time this year. Reed Watts, the lone Canadian. 3 from the United States, so actually just 2 of the 3 Americans qualified for today's competition. But all eyes will be on the hometown hero, Felix Loch. The 2-time Olympic champion has won 5 out of 6 races this year. Kick back, everyone. I'm Tim Singer, soon to be joined by my broadcast partner, John Morgan. But on course we go from the Czech Republic, Michal Lešek, starting things off here in Bavaria. Start time was a 3.439. The track record was set by Loch 5 years ago. Well, just over 4 years ago, 48.954. Nice exit of S4 here for Lešek from Czech Republic. No top 20s for this young athlete, just 22 years old. Kick back, enjoy the action. And before we introduce our co-commentator, just a word out to our viewers. If you are up early and watching, thanks for joining us. You can share in the broadcast and the live streaming. We'd love to hear your thoughts, your comments, your questions, your criticisms. You can find us on Twitter at Luge Announcer, and you can also email us luge.announcer@gmail.com. 51.022 for the Czech Republic to start it off. And right now, pleased to announce my longtime 30-year broadcast partner, John Morgan. John, welcome.
Hey, Tim. Sorry to get the one sled late, but the track in Koenigssee is a place that have done a lot of work over the years, and that exit of the Kreisel, one of the most exciting parts of any track that we cover. That's for sure.
From Great Britain, this is Rupert Staudinger, and he may represent the UK, but he is sliding here in his hometown. Rupert, longtime Bavarian, spends his summer still here, going to college in Salzburg, Austria, when not doing videos for YouTube. Professor Luge.
29th in World Cup points. Those Professor Luge videos are pretty interesting, Tim. I like the little satire.
It's fun, yeah, with the professor outfit. Ooh, very high there in the second S.
Tim, people forget when this is the first artificially cool track ever built in '69, but they didn't have this Kreisel in it. I was looking at some video on it the other day. There wasn't a Kreisel in there originally.
And now the Germans are 4 for 4. All 4 tracks have Kreisels to go along with the one in Innsbruck and the one in Calgary and the brand new one in China, right?
Yeah, so China will be the first Olympic track
since
to
Calgary.
have a Kreisel in the competition since Calgary in '88. Everybody doesn't like the Kreisel. They didn't like him in Innsbruck when they first came out. Innsbruck and Calgary are pretty easy. But Tim, the one here in Koenigssee, one in Altenburg, pretty special. The S's, you know, as an athlete that went through the S's in the back of 4-man sleds, those things, you know, when you hit them right are perfect. But if you don't, boy, not only are they dangerous, they can just assassinate your time.
2 down, 30 to come. And here is Alex Gufla, the first of the 5 Italians. John, the Italians coming up a pretty solid day in doubles action. They had 3 in the top 8 earlier today. Race, of course, won by the Germans, Egert and Beneken.
Yeah, Alex has only been in the Innsbruck and Winterberg events, not all of them, and he's way back there at points, 35th, but he qualified. But the Italians, Tim, one thing we noticed doing the commentary with you, I think from Innsbruck, that the good start times. The Italians are
outstanding in all 3 disciplines, and
they're really aggressive at the start.
They brought in the German great Olympic champion, 3-time Olympic medalist Tatjana Hofner, who has been working with all of the Italians on the start. She is one of the greatest starters in the history of this sport.
Boy, looking at that long straightaway coming into Kreisel, there's one thing I'm missing, Tim, the crowds at the track. If there's any place where they love their sliding, it's Koenigssee. It's the hotbed of sliding, really.
Usually all we have to do is step outside of our commentator cabins, walk about 5 meters, and there's a sausage stand with the glue vine flowing.
Oh, the bleachers. Is that who we think it is?
That's Armin Zogler. He's sporting the new jacket, the yellow Südtirolian jacket.
Listen, the best clothes ever when you wanted to swap back in my day were the Italians. They still have the best clothes, Tim. I still got a rain jacket I've got 30 years ago, long to the ankles rain jacket. Their clothing, pretty much like the Italian way.
Yeah. Fashion, of course, a subjective matter, but they've always had fun clothes and a lot of colorful clothes. All right, Vali Cretu, the first of the Romanians in what has been a very difficult season for the nation of Romania. After the first race in Innsbruck, a couple of coaches tested positive for COVID, and the team skipped the next few races. Then, John, they come here to Koenigssee, and another positive test just 2 days ago. And some of the athletes, including Raluca Stramașuraru, who were in the same vehicle, they are now missing this weekend and next weekend in Latvia. But Cretu is okay. He's good to go here.
Yeah, he's back in the points, but 34th in points, Tim, in the overall standing.
Yeah, well, they missed those 2 races, Altenburg and Oberhof.
Yeah.
Cretu's usually about a top 18 to 22 slider.
Kreisel, a couple different pressure points. Those lines, you want to be on those lines. It's so meticulous. I mean, TV just doesn't do it justice. This finish curve's different too, Tim. They made that alteration about 10 years ago. Then they had a big fire here, Tim. I don't know if you remember, the whole place was burned down. All the
that's right.
Coach likes that.
Basically, 2 things happened as Cretu takes a pretty big early advantage here. There was the fire, and a couple of years before that, there was actually a fatality in women's bobsled. So it really gave them an opportunity to rethink that lower labyrinth. And John, it's still kind of competitive. It's still not an easy drive down there.
No, it's a spectacular sliding track. It's short for bobsled, but they don't complain about that like they do Innsbruck. But the challenges on the track and the 4 S's and the exit of Kreisel, it's it's a great sliding track. And Tim, the setting is 5-star also.
Amazing, one of the best. Anyway, Reed Watts, welcome back to the tour, the lone Canadian representing male singles this year. But Reed, 2018 Olympian, told me the other day it was pretty tough to watch those first 4 World Cup races from the other side of the world, but they did have a lot of good training in Whistler. Unfortunately, John, there will not be a race in Whistler this year, and there was going to be one of no small note.
Hey, this is an athlete who's from Whistler.
That's right.
And I do a lot of work with the Canadian Luge people, and he was looking, said, I can't wait till he's really high in that third S. Comes out nice. But I can't wait to compete in the World Championships on my home track. Canada's going to do something, and this taken away from him. You know, so how many more opportunities is he going to have the World Championships on his home track like that?
Well, that's the thing, because there's already a queue of other nations preparing to host subsequent Worlds. So who knows when it may come back to Whistler. They'll certainly get consideration, but not for a few years. To the finish. 49.977, the lead by 1300ths for Canada.
Nice to see some Canadian jackets over there.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to see that. Canada bringing a small team, just 4 athletes, to the World Cup for the second half here. But nonetheless, Reed Watts is really, he might represent the future of this program, especially with the veteran doubles team near the end of its career.
The S is a little high there in that S there. Boy, that caught my attention. He was up there in the frost, Tim, where you don't want to be. Good exit out, though.
Yeah, that could have been disaster, right?
Yeah, but how much steering did he have to do to correct to get out at that exit that way?
Andre Manzi, the first of the 2 Ukrainians in today's competition. His best results were the 2 races just 2 weeks ago in Winterberg, both top 15s. On a track in Winterberg, the Ukrainians had a great week there, including 2 podiums in the Nations Cup.
You know, the Ukrainians got a skeleton, male skeleton athlete. You know, they did have a bobsled athlete, but Russians, you know, that whole culture. Ooh, a lot of drifting there, Tim. It's like a Disney World. When you hit it perfect, they say it's like a Disney World ride. It feels so good. When you don't hit it, then you panic, because the exit has so much to do with even setting yourself up for this albatross, the Kreisel. Now here.
Manzi, 22 years old. He is from Kremenets in the Ternopil region of the Ukraine, where most of the athletes from this Ukrainian national team hail from. To the finish, he is 600ths of a second behind Canadian Reed Watts. Still in the very early going of run number 1, the men's singles here at the Lotto Bavarian Ice Arena in Koenigssee.
Having Lotto Toto as the sponsor here, Tim, reminds me the 2005 World Championships. You might have been with us. Look at the skid here. This is what the coach was talking about. And then that's the exit of the S's. But Lotto Toto had a betting booth. You could put bets down on races here back in the 2005 World Championships.
And of course, it's interesting to see them as we get ready for our next athlete, Arturs Garznieks, who's leading the Nations Cup qualifying points this season. Yeah, the Lotto was long associated with the Oberhof region. In fact, they were personal sponsors to Hoppe and Lange. But so it's great to see them here in Bavaria.
Get the little spikes. That's what gives them the grip. Bobsled, they got those on their feet. Here in Luge, they're on what they call the paddles. And boy, dealing with thousands of seconds, Tim, you know and I know that the start, I mean, if you look at the men's results this morning, I think the top 3 finishers were all the top 8 starters.
Right. The Latvians cannot wait until early Monday morning, where they will board the charter flight. And
charter flight, huh?
Yeah, 2 charter flights. It's the only flight that the athletes are taking all season long. Everything else is driving.
See, the logistics that the FIL team has done to even stage these races, Tim, I think that's a good example of how well thought out they've done everything. You know, they're flying the athletes around in their own bubble. And, hey, we're on our 5th event, Tim. We got 5 more to go. This is 5 more weekends after this.
So far, so good. A minimal of positive COVID tests, and anytime that's happened, they've acted immediately, and there has been no major spread, no spread really to speak of. Darznieks into the lead by 1700ths ahead of Reed Watts, the first of the Latvians in today's competition. Unfortunately, his teammate Kristers Apriods still out of action. Apriods had a crash in Oberhof in training. Love to get an update on how he's doing from any of our
He
Latvian.
had medaled in the first part of the year.
Yeah, he had 1 bronze medal. Yep, exactly. Now Maciej Sokovic from Poland. On course, 24 years old from Karpasz. Finished 27th at the Olympic Games.
He had a 17th place finish in Altenburg, Tim, best of the year.
And a podium in Oberhof as part of Poland's team relay. That was one of the nice surprises of the season.
Is that the first ever medal for Poland in the modern? I mean, you know, Poland has won 3 World Championship medals.
Bronze medal last year in doubles in Winterberg. That was the first one in decades.
Yeah, if you go back 59, 61, there was a guy named Jerry Locher that won the World Championships 2 years out of 3, including on the track in Poland. So, you know, Poland was one of those nations that was, you know, when Luge first became a World Championship sport, I think 57 was the first year World Championships. They were there, and they had a doubles team that also
back in the 60s,
won a World Championship,
the
and they got
Olympics.
a female athlete that won a medal.
50.052. Only 4th place right now for Maciej Sokovic. Keep in mind, this is not a sprint cup weekend. On those weekends, the top 15 from all of the individual races qualify for the second race of the weekend. That's not the case here. Top 15 still a realistic goal for most of these athletes, though.
The S's. Hey, looks pretty good. Oh, a little rough transition there. He might have been too high in the 3rd S. Adjusted into the 4th S, which caused him a problem on the exit of the 4 Disneyland curves.
Okay, action continuing here in Koenigssee early afternoon in the Bavarian Alps. As Svante Koala, the lone male athlete representing the Swedish program this year, he's now on course. The 22-year-old finished 12th at the Youth Olympics in 2016.
Tim, we talk about Sweden in this sport. Hilversum was a track that hosted numerous world championships. So, you know, seems like Sweden has sort of dropped off a little bit in their participation. Oh, he's got it wound up there.
Would love to see more Scandinavian representation for sure. All of the athletes love going to the Lillehammer track.
Well, and also the Hilversum track's natural, and you know it's cold enough to meet you. But you know, my sister and brother Terry my sister Bridget and Terry both competed at the World Championships there in '81. They loved it.
Big uphill finish here in Koenigssee, much more than the camera shows. A 49.998 puts Kohala into 3rd place, but 0.2 of a second behind the leader, Arturs Darznieks of Latvia. Canada's Reed Watts in 2nd. That's the voice of Billy Vilman, the longtime track announcer here at Koenigssee. This is his home, although he has recently been the public address announcer at most of the German events. And this will be, John, of course, the first of 2 races to be held here in Koenigssee this month.
Much to the demise of the international teams, but you know, they're forced to do this, and in essence, it's very smart. Easier to keep everybody in this safe bubble.
That's true, and better here than some other tracks, because if you did a poll of athletes on what their favorite track in the world is, it would be about an 80% Koenigssee. And I've done this poll, so I stand by that. Everyone loves it here.
Hey, Tim, you know it's right up there at the top for us as a journalist. I mean, we really like St. Moritz, and we really love Cortina in our day, and Koenigsee's right up there with anybody.
Leon Felderle, the second of 5 Italians in today's competition. He is 900ths behind Darznieks at that first split, hard off of S4.
Yeah, 19th in Oberhof, his best finish of the year. This might be one of the, you know, on-the-job training athletes for the Italian program, and if he's in the Italian program competing in the World Cup, they see some talent here.
Potential for sure, especially with the brand new track in Cortina to be finished in the next couple of years.
This could be the Italian guy 5 years from now.
Felderer, 21 years old, he'll turn 20, or he's 20, he'll turn 21 later this month during the World Championships. He is back in second place, still a tenth of a second in back. First American getting ready on deck, but it's Latvia leading over Italy and Canada.
Not what you want to do. Those S's, you want to come out of there perfect. Don't cut any ice and slingshot yourself down to that bottom part of the track. So easy for us here to sit here and critique these athletes coming down the track at 70, 80 miles an hour.
Well, there's Coach Norbert Loch of Germany, his son, and the rest of the Germans still to come, but the USA missed the first 4 races. And 3 COVID tests later, they're back here overseas and ready to compete. The Olympic silver medalist, Chris Masder, on course, recently married and expecting his first child.
Yeah, Chris flew in from Salt Lake. Most of the other team was from the east.
But he's originally from your hometown.
Saranac Lake, graduated from Saranac Lake High School just like I did. Not in the same decade.
No, almost not even the same century, John.
Thanks for bringing that up, Tim.
5 thousandths of a second up on Artur Zdarzniak's nice exit of 4. Let's see how he handles Kreisel.
Well, he's been down this ice a lot. He was just down it earlier in the doubles competition that you called with Martin Haven, Tim. And, you know, a little rusty, finishing like 13th. See what he can do here. Got a chance.
Still in the green. Last few curves. Chris Masder does it by 800ths of a second with the 4th fastest start. And, John, that's despite the fact he underwent his second shoulder surgery about a year ago, which is that's a pretty good comeback.
Chris has had a lot of doctor appointments in the last couple of years.
What's up, guys? I made it finally. Yeah. Only
But
one more. 3 down, 1 to go.
if we can say the glass is half full for that guy, do you think that's appropriate, Tim?
Always in a good mood, and you just heard him say 3 down, 1 to go. Of course, he raced earlier today in doubles, the only such athlete at the moment that is taking part in 2 disciplines.
Look at that smile.
It's all about eating with it, you know?
Anton Dukash, the second and final Ukrainian, 25 years old. Also had a podium in Winterberg in that Nations Cup competition. Dukash currently ranked 24th in the World Cup standings with a pair of top 20s, both 20th place, one 21st place. So that's a pretty respectable goal for him to try to crack the top 20, get under it.
Well, of course, the goal is to get in the top 15 so you don't have to go to Nations Cup every week, right?
Well, the Nations Cup is determined based on seeded points over the last 3 races.
Oh! He just, you know, Luge, they have such more of a descriptive steering than Luge or a bobsled. But boy, especially compared to the skeleton athletes, that's what I meant. He came out of that S's, and boy, that sled had a lot of pressure on it. They show us those pictures again. It just, wow. You can really direct these sleds. Sometimes those skeleton sleds you can't. Luge, you can control your destiny. Yeah, Coach, I agree with you.
9th place. It's USA, Latvia, Italy, Canada. That's the top 4 right now. All things being witnessed here through the doubles in the early part of this race. The track seems to be in great shape, John.
Yeah, perfect temperatures, Tim. 0 and 0. 0 in the ice, 0 in the air. Not really good on the X of Kreisel. In fact, that's a little dangerous there to do what he just did. He got away with it.
Josef Ninnis, the Slovakian, getting ready at the top. And in case you didn't read the news, because it, best I could tell, was not on the front page of the New York Times, but Ninnis's popular teammate Jakub Simonek of Slovakia retired following the race in Winterberg. It was a sudden decision announced, but I'm sure it's something Jakub had thought about for a long time, as he continues to pursue his master's degree. So, Jakob, we wish you the best of luck. In the future, you'll be missed on the tour. Here's his veteran teammate, Ninnis, on course.
Smooth. Exit. Pretty quiet steering there. Comes down the, that's no straightaway. Now into this unbelievable thing they call Kreisel. I mean, Tim, this is a pretty safe ride.
He's one of the great drivers. Everyone right up to the best in the world.
Oh, his feet came out there.
Yeah.
He was unsure of himself on the exit. That's going uphill. That's going to really cost him.
Yeah, that
boy, 1200s.
Potentially
you're putting your
cost him
feet
the
down,
lead,
going
right?
uphill at the end. Yeah, Coach, I'm with you. Boy, he must have really felt unsure of himself.
And as I was saying, he is renowned for his driving ability. That's a very un-Ninnis-like mistake down there at the bottom.
Plus, when you make that mistake at the bottom, you're going uphill. Gravity sport. Not a good combination to make a mistake like that when you're going uphill. That magnifies the mistake. This is pretty good. This is where we're saying how good he looked. You know, the chicanes here. Watch this, though. Late, look at the feet come down. He was trying to get off the wall.
Yep,
Still not sure of himself.
He knew it.
Frustrated. He knew, of course.
Yep. Well, the action continues here. This is a track built into the side of a mountain, the Watzmann, at 8,900 feet. It's the third highest mountain in Germany. We're tucked away in the southwestern corner of this nation in the state of Bavaria. On course now, Lukas Gufler, 21-year-old Südtirolian, the third of 5 Italians, just the Fischnaller cousins still to come.
Luge, where they start here, is higher than the bobsled track.
That's right. It's the only track in the world the men's start is. The
Yep.
women and doubles start like one story below, but at the same distance as the bobsled track. And a lot of
41.8.
paddles from the lower start, which you'll see tomorrow, John, with the relay. You can
Yep.
do as many as a dozen paddles just to get through that ramp.
That's a good, different strategy. Through and down, this close, 600s back, a Mazda.
49.783 for one of Armin Zugler's many young athletes, Lukas Gufler.
Can you imagine being tutored by the greatest of all time?
I don't know if that's going to work to your advantage or whether you're just going to feel the pressure to try to measure up. I mean, it's some of the greats. It's funny, John, you follow a lot of sports. Some of the great players don't necessarily make great coaches because their expectation and their perception is so high. That's not, fortunately, the case in Luge.
Well, just hanging out with the guy. Just you a little hope some of that, what's in his mind, comes through to you.
Now Johnny Gustafsson, who earned a podium yesterday in the Nations Cup in his return to the World Cup. Still a young athlete representing the United States. Very, very fast starter. One of the fastest, in fact, one of the few that's faster than Johnny at the start is his teammate Tucker West, who unfortunately crashed in Nations Cup, or had a problem at least, enough to not qualify for the race.
Tucker had as you said, the fastest start of the qualifying Nations Cup.
And Johnny has the fastest so far, but he's already in the red.
Well, that's to his teammate, too, who he beat in the qualifying considerably, a couple tenths, I think.
Tall athlete, 23 years old. He's from the town of Messina, New York, which is right on the Canadian border in northeastern U.S.
Alcoa plant up there, Tim, is the Messina's fame. Johnny trying to chase down Chris Mazda here. It's going to be close.
One American is in 5th
1400.
place. Another American continues to lead. It's Mazda from the United States over Italy's Gufla and Latvia's Darzniak as we are winding our way down to the final 2 qualifiers. The next one, a very, very intriguing athlete that I've been excited all season to see the debut of. But first, let's get another reprise of Johnny.
Well, he's Got mixed reactions getting out of the sled. Look at his toes. You know, look at that right, left foot really pointing down. He wants to exit. Nice super slow-mo here. Can't fault anything there, Tim. That's a textbook.
Lost a little down at the bottom. Now, second place yesterday in Nations Cup, Pavel Repilov. If the name rings a bell, it's because his older brother is the defending World Cup and world champion. Pavel's debut today on the World Cup, 18 years old from Dimitrov. He has won junior World Cup races. He has podiumed at the Junior World Championships and finished second last year at the Youth Olympic Games.
Well, Tim, we could be watching one of the stars of the future for Russia. Best start, green numbers.
His brother, Roman, stormed onto the senior tour after 2 Junior World Championships and was winning podiums right away in his first year. Nice textbook. That was a veteran exit of the S's, wasn't it?
Yeah, but he's 800s back, Tim. He might have had to steer too much because he had the best start. Now he's falling off more. You can see the speed. 700s, he's bringing it back a little bit now. So maybe a mistake up there in the S's cost him some. Down here, he's violent for a top 3. Bumps the wall there.
Yeah, he had a little issue. So let's see where this is. This is second
300,
place.
so he had it going. That's a good comeback for, you know, he was down 800, 700s up there in the exit of the S's. Brought it back to put himself in second position behind the veteran Olympic silver medalist Chris Mazder.
Well done for Pavel Repilov. It'll only be a matter of time before he joins his brother.
Yeah, give him a thumbs up. 18 years old, debut event. Could be a Russian star in the making here. Real quiet. Looks a little late there on that exit. That was in the doodles, as the Canadians call that spot. And then here on the finish, you exit a finish or down near the finish. He had that mistake, touched the wall. Boy, Tim, he was flying, bottom part of the track. We didn't see speeds that time, but he was flying.
Yesterday's winner in the Nations Cup was Coach Norbert Loch's pupil, Chris Eisler, one of 13 racers in today's event who have won World Cup races. And in Eisler's case, John, it was his World Cup debut 6 years ago in Winterberg. Although, since then, he's really had trouble trying to stay full-time on the Germany team.
Any other country, he'd be the number one. Most of the countries would be the number one slider. The Germans got about 10 of them.
Big, tall athlete who also is a standout volleyball player. Good speed. 75.4 miles per hour.
That's very good speed. He's got the green numbers, 200s. He knows this track. Probably needs to be clean here on the uphill section. He could pull away with more, maybe 1000s lead here.
Chris Eisler has the lead by 200ths of a second. So it was a good run for Chris Mazder. It's Eisler leading over Mazder and Pavel Repilov. That's the top 3 as we prepare ourselves for the seeded group still to come.
Well, the speed was good, Tim. I expected him to pull away in the bottom. Here in the S's. Pretty quiet exit, little drift, no. It was pretty good. Can't fault much of that run. But of course, he is the leader.
That's the small control room. It's not a large room, that warming hut down there at the bottom. So in COVID times, the athletes, the coaches, they are very under strict orders of where they can go and when they can go there. Great drone shot of the Kreisel, and the Botsman there on the right is what they call a straightaway. It really isn't a straightaway. It's a bend-away, right, John?
You saw the farmhouse down there, Tim. I mean, that's all private property. The track's built on such a narrow slice of land.
Okay, Moritz Bollmann, the second of 5 Germans. His first full season on the World Cup. It's been a pretty solid year for Moritz, as evidenced by the fact that he's leading off the seeded group here. one top 6 finish. That was in Altenburg. 3 of the 5 Germans are from the Oberhof-Thuringia region. Eisler's from Altenburg, and Loch, of course, famously from right here in Bavaria. 5 thousandths up at that middle split.
Speed, 121.3. Not the best, but right in there. Red numbers now, down by 300ths. On the bottom, in the uphill section here, you know, we've seen some people with some issues. None for him.
The 2-time junior world champion to the finish in 4th place. So it's Germany in 1 and 4, USA, Russia 2 and 3. John, let's talk a little bit about speed. What's interesting is on some tracks, speed means nothing in the sport of luge. I don't mean it doesn't mean anything, but it doesn't give us an indication. On other tracks, you totally know how they're going to finish based on their last speed. Here, the speeds are very consistent. It's only about 2 miles an hour between the slowest and the fastest so far among the top 13.
Yeah, that was a rough transition there in the S's from the 3rd to 4th S. But yeah, speed on this track, Tim.
Very, very steady.
There's definitely time to be found on the bottom part of the exit of Kreisel. And, you know, if you launch yourself out of there, slingshot, you have a chance to find some time.
Riks Rositas up next, the Latvian. 26 years old. Next week's race in Sigulda will be the farthest all of these athletes from Europe have to travel this season. Obviously, the North Americans and the Asians had to get over to Europe, but it's the only plane ride all season long. And they usually put on a good show in Sigulda. Already staged a couple of skeleton and bobsled races there this year.
Yep. Pretty quiet, boy. He doesn't look comfortable in the sled. Speed's off. Feeder. Well, you don't see him using that left foot to steer on the exit of Kreisel. He's well back, 1/4 of a second back, Tim, and falling more.
Just
Feeder.
one top 10.
Just doesn't look comfortable, Tim.
No, and you know, there aren't a lot of training runs as he is back in 14th place. You picked that up. That was a accumulation of lots of little mistakes. You only get 4 training runs and then your qualifying run or your seated training. And that's not a lot for any athlete for whom this is not their home track.
Well, not happy. Don't blame him. Being 4/10 back. He's not looking. He peeks a little bit over the right shoulder. Here, look for. See, he comes out of here. This is the down in the doodles. He looks okay, but no speed.
Well, there's a look at a legend, Josef Fendt, who last month retired as the longtime president of the International Luge Federation. In his honor, John, they have named the C curve, curve 13, the Fendt curve. It will be forever known for Sepp Fendt, truly a legend in the sport and a legend here in Berchtesgaden.
It will be a pleasure to say the Fendt curve. Tim, what he accomplished in his reign as the president for over a couple decades, bringing Team Luge into the Olympic program.
The team relay, when he took over, pretty much Olympic and World Cup medals were won by Italy, Austria, and Germany, no one else. Since then, USA, Latvia, Canada, Russia, they've all ended up on the Olympic podium. He has expanded the sport.
Yeah.
Now,
people forget he was an Olympic silver medalist himself in 1976.
That's right. That is
in
correct.
The Innsbruck track.
Gorbatsevich of Russia has the lead.
Going to be the leader. He's got great speed. He's got it all, Tim.
He does. Nice.
1800s. And that's a statement run.
Between that and what we saw from Pavel Repelov a little earlier, it tells me the Russian sleds are set up pretty well today. John, a quick update just for our viewers who want to know. Yesterday in the Nations Cup competition, Matvey Perestorinen, a young Russian, had a pretty bad crash and was taken to the hospital with a concussion. We have the update. He is still in the hospital, but he is expected to be released on Monday, so improving already, and that's good news.
Great to hear. Exit of Kreisel's where the mishap was. Doesn't take much to get yourself in trouble at 74 miles an hour exiting a curve down into a little three-corner labyrinth.
For sure. Okay, the Russian into the lead, and now one of John Morgan's favorite all-time lugers. Here's Wolfgang Kindl of Austria.
The jockey.
The 32-year-old who grew up a matter of just a few miles away from the track in Eagles, a three-time Olympian and a former world champion, 2017 on his home track.
You know, and he's got probably 4 or 5 World Cup victories, including that stretch in North America where he was just the top guy.
7 all-time wins on the World Cup, and he had that run you were talking about. Yeah, about 2 seasons ago. Nicely done here.
26, 121, 122.6. No one's had that type of speed, about 76 miles an hour. Now into the three-quarter labyrinth. 700ths only lead, though, Tim, with that type of speed, I thought he'd be out farther than that.
But it has been picture perfect in terms of aesthetics. Let's see how that translates down here at the bottom. 700ths, the Austrian into the lead. Kindl has also been fighting injuries, so his once stellar regular podium stature has fallen off a bit. His best result this year has been a 9th place, but this was pretty good.
Yeah. Head up, really trying to get a view to get on that take on his terms. He does. How quiet he's. Little body lean there. Down in the exit of Kreisel.
Well, Austria has been so deep in men's singles over the last several seasons that a few of the athletes were relegated now to doubles because they just couldn't crack the lineup for men's singles. Partly due to this man's stature in getting a lot of attention in Pyeongchang. 2018 Olympic gold medalist David Gleicher. One of the, Luge, John, is not obviously at the top of the headlines, but if it were, this would be one of the most talked about Cinderella stories in recent Olympic memory.
I was standing right there at that finish line, Tim. I would like to capture that energy in a bottle. That was unbelievable. People were stunned. They were ecstatic. It was a moment in sport in my career that I will remember for a long time. Him, winning that gold medal.
Gleicher was not only the last Austrian to make the Olympic team, he was the last athlete from any nation to be penciled into the Olympic lineup, as Marcus Prock kept delaying that decision until the last second. You think it worked out?
Yeah, well, there's another guy named Wolfgang Hoppe. He had this, he's got trouble.
Oh, David Gleicher, and he's had the best of times and the worst of times, John. I don't think he's going to make it to the finish.
Well, if he gets on the sled somehow, he's got a lot of paddling. I don't think he's going to get a second run. That's going to really hamper his World Cup standing.
Unfortunate. World Cup, he came in 8th place with 1 podium. This has followed him after the Olympics. He had his first World Cup victory a couple of years ago. But, John, he was leading in Sochi at the World Championships last year after the first run, and he crashed out in run number 2. So still lessons to be learned, no question about it.
It's okay. Most important thing, that's what the coach said. Here, exit of Kreisel. Well, hits the wrong wall. Now it's lights out. Look at these pictures. Wow. Wow.
Sled left the ice for a moment, but he kept contact with it, which is key.
That's the same place that the Russian athlete had the accident yesterday, Tim. That doodles, as the bobsled people call it, those little 3 turns in the exit of Kreisel.
No doubt. There are a lot of tough parts on this track. Exit of S4.
Right, there's the doctor, the tallest doctor on tour. He's about 6'7", Tim. So you stand down next to him. You and I look pretty small standing next to him.
Well, great to see that Gleischer's okay. And now we advance to our next competitor, Roman Rapilov. His brother went earlier in his World Cup debut. Pavel Rapilov is still in 5th place. And one thing we saw from both Gorbatsevich and Rapilov, and that is for really the first time this year, John, the Russian equipment seemed to be dialed in for the game day conditions.
Yeah. Let's see what this guy does. He's got a couple of 4th place finishes. He's 10th in World Cup points, Tim. And
that's really one of the surprises of the year to me, is how far back he is. Perennial podium finisher.
We thought the Russians were like sleeping in Innsbruck.
Really, all of the weekends except for, Ivanova had the win in Altenburg, but that may be the only podium this season in any of the disciplines. Well, that could all be forgotten today with a nice
600s.
performance. Yeah.
Good speed, could maintain, can't make a mistake here in the uphill section, and he doesn't.
Looked like
This
he may
should be
have
the leader.
lifted his head briefly, about 2 curves back, but look at that.
2400s, wow.
A 49.2, a commanding lead over Wolfgang Kindl. This is the run the Russians have been waiting all season for. It's about 0.3 of a second off the track record.
Tim, I was so impressed with his exit of Kreisel. Here in the S's, he had a little problem on the take on to Ford, but came out like a rocket. And that's how to do it. That's 2400s, Tim, is a lot of time on this track.
Kevin Fischneller now up for Italy, coming off of his by far finest result of the season, a 2nd place in Winterberg after leading. Well, actually, he had a 5th in Winterberg after leading in the first run of the Classic race, and then had a podium, a 2nd in the sprint. 3 top 5s all told this year.
Well, you know, he's right up there, including 2nd place in the sprint. Overhoff.
So I hear. Yes, so approaching the Kreisel in the red at this point.
Speed well off the pace. Remember, Kindl had 122.6, so he's 2,200s back. He could fall even farther back now compared to the sled that just came down.
We'll see that here as he negotiates the last few curves uphill to the finish. Fischneller chasing down Rapilov. He's in 4th place, but nearly a 0.5 second off the pace.
Tim, you mentioned you thought the Russian sleds were dialed in. Well, Rapilov, I mean, that's 2 Russians at the top of the leaderboard. That's a big separation.
That's correct, and that was how it was all last season. But the Russians have had trouble getting their footing, or their sliding, as it were, so far this year. Here's the exit of S4.
Little cut some ice. It's pretty pedestrian there.
We make our way now to our final 8 competitors here on run number 1, and here's Reini Eger, the next of the Austrians. If you go back over the last 3 years, 5 different Austrians have been on the podium in men's singles, so that is depth. A 6th, Armin Frauscher, has also been on the podium in the past, and he is now competing in doubles.
Best finish, Altenburg, 7th place. Tim, I think the telltale sign is the speed in the Kreisel. I mean, we know that all the time,
but when all of the speeds are so tight from top to bottom, every little 1/10 of a kilometer matters. Nicely done here in Bendaway, approaching the Kreisel, 360
There's
degrees.
some great speed there, 122.1. Anybody gets over that 122 kilometers mark, still has a chance. He's 2,900s back. He won't bleed too much more time back with that type of speed. He might even cut into this time. Tim, uphill really well.
Well, we'll
2,500s back maybe.
It was 0.297.
52,
no, he doubled the deficiency.
Wow, what happened there, Tim? He had
well, we've only seen
speed
with the Russians and earlier today in doubles with the Germans, those have been the only red to greens down at the bottom of the track. So we know it is possible, but what will it take for someone to be trailing halfway down and move it back into green.
When he had that 122-kilometer speed, Tim, I thought he was in the position to finish like 2,500s back. Well off the pace. Paddles. Now, coach was talking. Oh, there's the problem. Look at that little drift to the left. His coach was using the paddling when we saw him right here. Look.
Yeah, so it was Rennie Friedel who knew it. He knew there was an issue happening right there at the start.
Great pickup by our crew. Coach didn't like it.
Well, Eger has won one World Cup race, and that was right here 2 years ago, a snow-shortened one-heat race in Berchtesgaden, Koenigssee. 96 countries receiving our live streaming coverage over the past 4 races. Thank you for joining in once again. Now on course, Dominik Fischnaller. This is the first time all season in 5 races, John, that Fischnaller was not starter number 32, the last to go.
You should go bet on 32 in Lotto Toto. I mean, that's his number.
Right. 9,000ths of a second he's behind, but he
Ooh,
finds
it's the
time
lip
at the
in
bottom.
the second S. See how that affects his time. +7. See how much goes out. Going to need that 122 magic speed to have any chance. 100 way off, Tim, and that's because of the S's. Boy, that's an uncharacteristic mistake by this experienced Italian slider.
I mean, that is an understatement, man. He is the most steady athlete in the sport. He doesn't dominate the top of the podium, but he's always in the discussion.
See what his coach said.
15th place. Yeah, Armin Zugler.
Yeah, hit the lip. We agree.
Hey, they don't need us when the coaches are telling everyone what they're doing wrong, right?
Yeah, we love keep it going.
Yeah, exactly.
We love
it's a
the
great
coaches'
visual.
expressions. Dominic, you have a great chance to move up. Look at that. Boy, he's up there in the frost. Tim, you never see anybody bouncing off the lips like that.
Yeah, that's
Look
amazing.
at the greatest
Sometimes
of all
I've seen
time looking at
skeleton
it.
athletes do it.
You don't see that, Tim. You don't see a mistake like that from an experienced slider like this. It's almost like he fell asleep.
Jonas Müller, the next of the Austrians to go. A quick shout out to longtime luge competitor Shiva Keshevin of India, who retired a couple of years ago after 5 Olympic appearances. Shiva is now helping organize a young Indian team to compete in natural track luge. So it's great to see you're back involved. Now we have Jonas Müller, winner of the opening 2 World Cup races last season, both on his home track in Eagles. Having a good year this year as well, pretty steady. Just one train wreck in Altenburg, but other than that, 4 top 5s.
A little rough transition there on the take on to 1. But green numbers.
His head coach, Marcus Prock, told me he's never seen anyone more relaxed on a sled. And how important is that in this sport?
Well, quiet. I mean, he had a bronze medal in Oberhof. Speed, excellent. Exit,
now
better than his teammate Kindle.
That's right, the lower part of this course,
And this
the
is
C
pretty
curve,
good.
the Fendt curve right on the shores of Lake Koenigssee. And before hitting uphill to the finish, will he get into the green, John?
I don't think so, but oh boy.
Third
Tim,
place.
I'm now saying the track's got no speed in the bottom. We've seen he was only 600ths on the exit of Kreisel. Everything looked great, and he ended up 2,500ths back.
Hey, don't say that to Felix Loch and Seaman Pavlichenko. They may have something to say about whether there's still speed at the bottom.
Well, instead of Loch being ahead by 40 hundredths, he might only be ahead by 10 this time.
Right.
You know, because our 2 leaders went 5/8 sleds ago. You know, how can you fault anything here? Ooh, maybe a little bump there, but this is where his teammate Kindle was airborne. Tim, textbook there. But he lost all sorts of time on the bottom.
Yeah, which has been the rule, not the exception, other than the Russians so far. Mostly spectators are allowed, but our service friends will assume can show up for the action as we get set for our next competitor, the 3rd of the Germans. Johannes Ludwig, the Olympic bronze medalist. He had just missed out making the German Olympic team in both 2010 and 2014 for the Olympics. Was the last to get the call for Germany for 2018 and ended up on the podium. The father of two, paddling, settling, and on course.
Great start. And it's, you know, his destiny's right in his, you know, in his own possession right now. He knows the track as good as anybody.
Except
Real
Felix.
quiet.
Right. Wow, a great exit of the four S's as he enters the Kreisel.
He's going to need,
Still in the
remember,
green.
everybody's losing time down here. 121.3, that's not that 122 speed. But if anybody knows that there's a shortcut down here, it's him, down to 200s.
He will probably stay in the top three,
Nope.
but as you see, he moves into
he's
the
falling.
red. Now
There's
we'll
no
see if you're
speed
right,
on the
John.
bottom part of the track.
Yeah, you may have called that exactly. He
17,
loses.
that's there it is.
Yeah, he loses 1,500s down at the bottom.
That's
Norbert
okay.
Loch is happy with it.
Well, I
It's a
think if
second
anybody
place
knows
time.
about the speed of the bottom part of the track falling away would be him. He's watched more sleds come down the track almost than anybody. But so he's within striking range though, Tim. When they shuffle the cards, he'll go earlier, and he'll have a chance to post a time and catch me if you can type strategy.
Picture perfect for the most
Yeah.
part.
Textbook. Can't fault any of that. It's almost boring. It's so good.
All right,
Yeah,
we
this
make
is
our
in
way
the-
down now to the final four. This next one's going to be a lot of fun as Ludwig trails Rapilov. It's Russia out in front. One world champion from Russia leading the way. Another world champion from Russia getting ready. Zeman Pavlichenko, also a four-time European champion. Now 29 years old from the city of Bratsk. John, he is as fun as anyone to watch on the ice. He tucks that head back and he never even lifts it to take a single peek.
Well, all he wants to do is to get within 10-15 hundredths of that leader down there, Repilov, his teammate. He's got 500s now. Let's see his lines. Conservative, no problem.
Oh, so that is the price you pay for not watching sometimes, especially on that exit of S4. He
Now the
had
speed,
the lead in
121
the bag.
kilometers. He's going to fight to stay in the top 8, Tim. That speed, now he's 10 hundredths back. That could grow out to 30 or 40 hundredths.
Unfortunate for Pavlichenko. He's going to be that guy I predict now we'll see in run number 2 move up 7, 8, 9 positions.
Well, he can't do what he just did, crush the wall. 30, that's not bad, Tim. Considering the mistake out of the S's and his speed down there in the Kreisel. 5th pace, 3/10 back, that's not bad.
Not bad,
You know,
and he's actually in a big log jam right now. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, all separated by about 500ths of a second, which will make for a very spirited second run, posturing for the podium.
Tim, that's not bad. Considering that mistake, start, you know, he has the best start. But here, I'm going to stay away from the wall, but I'm going to crash into the other one. Wow.
So Rapilov of Russia, the world champion, still out in front, actually by a pretty wide margin over the rest of the field as we make our way to our final 3 competitors, 1 from Austria, 2 from Germany. Nico Gleicher has been in the shadow of his brother David over the last 3 or 4 years, but he's been the better of the 2 siblings so far this season. Nico ranked number 9 in the World Cup.
Winterberg.
Yeah, he had a 2nd place podium position. He also had a 6th in Innsbruck. Last year, John, not only was he in David's shadow, Nico wasn't even competing. He was number 6 on the depth chart for Austria, but he showed up every week. He worked on sleds. He was a true soldier. And now he's being rewarded. Ooh, he made that a little closer, too close to comfort out of 4.
122 speed, he's going to need that at least. He's got that. Now Tim is, how much time will he bleed here on the exit to the bottom part of the track? 14. He keeps that below 30, Tim. He's in the mix for, still have a chance for a medal in the second round.
Well, his teammate Kindle had very good speed down below, despite a couple of minor mistakes. So the Austrian sleds are in good shape today. 6th place, 3.
Kept himself in the
back.
mix.
Yep.
I agree with you,
Absolutely.
Coach. Not bad.
it's still that log jam where only 600 separate right now third place from seventh place.
Yeah. There's 4 or 5 guys that could get into the bronze medal position. Shaping up as a pretty interesting second run, Tim.
Well, we're not done yet here with run number 1 because we've got 2 remaining. And just when you thought Felix Loch was going to go away, he has come back in a major way this season. Last year, the 2-time Olympic champion had just 2 podiums, no victories. This year so far, first, and 5th. He has now 44 career World Cup victories, second all time behind the great Armin Zugler, another 2-time Olympic champion, here on his home course for the first of 2 races this month in Koenigssee. Felix Loch.
I mean, every time the guy gets to the top of the track, it's his race to lose this season. So, Green, how many times has he had red numbers this season, Tim?
Very few, and it's so funny. Really, the question isn't why is he doing it so well this year. It's what went wrong the last couple of seasons, and the answer may just be experimentation. That may have been more important than World Cup wins.
Tough to stay peaking all the time. 123.3, that's ridiculous. No one's had this type of speed. Now remember, we're saying to everybody else, no speed in the bottom part of the track. He's got a 10/100ths lead. He should be the leader. He could pull away here with that type of speed.
To the finish, it was 1/10 of a second, as you just mentioned. He opens it up a little more, 49.061. That's still roughly 2/100ths or 2/10ths or so off of the track record, which he holds, a 5-year-old track record. But the lead, business as usual for Felix Loch, who returns home to his wife, his kids, and the track he loves so much.
You know, you talk about home cooking, all the above. But again, the speed, nobody got over 123 kilometers. He did that. And, you know, he's a big man looking very, very relaxed on the sled.
Felix Loch will regroup. He'll work with his longtime coach and mentor, Georg Hackel, to make sure that that sled is in the same perfect condition for run number 2. Will he hang on to the lead? Only one slider remains. And it's a guy coming off of his first World Cup career victory. Felix's young teammate, Max Langenhahn. A little bonus coverage of Felix down there at the bottom because of local live TV coverage.
Yeah,
and here's Langenhahn.
Silver medal in Altenburg also, so might be a coming out season for this young athlete.
Absolutely, only his second full year as a World Cup athlete, but he was pretty much among the seeded group most of last year.
He's 10/100ths back now already. Of course, that's the Loch, 14/100ths. He gets 122.5 speed, give him a chance to be in the top of the leaderboard. 122.3, that's right.
That's the second fastest we've seen, actually.
2,500ths back though, Tim.
Yeah.
And you know what happens below the Kreisel?
You don't make up time. You can only hope not to lose
down
more.
Here with the,
right.
You know, again, I think the track has got a little frosty. There, 4,800ths back, 9th place.
Yeah, that was a little perplexing with the good speed and some pretty solid drive lines. All the same, Langenhahn, this is not his home track. Oberhof has that distinction. He still has one more World Cup, a return to Oberhof in 2 weeks. But it really has been the big names in the end of run number 1 that have made their way up to the top. That was the Echo, or the C curve, former C curve, now known as the Fendt curve. And there's Coach Georg Hackel watching down at the bottom area. He's usually up near the top. So Max Langenhahn completes action here in run number 1. Standings upcoming. Felix Loch, who's 5 for 6 so far this season. He already has a lock on the World Cup standings, the overall lead, pardon the pun. Rapilov, in a comeback race of sorts, is in second, a distant second. Johannes Ludwig in third. The North Americans have returned this week with Chris Masder of the USA in 12th place. Johnny Gustafson, Reed Watts also taking part. And among the surprises, Dominic Fischnaller of Italy, way back in 21st place. Look for him to move up 6, 7, perhaps even 8 positions as the Olympic champion David Gleicher crashed out